guys, welcome to Friday's live stream at Fat Quarter Shop. I'm Kimberly Jolly, and today I'm going to show you a lot of quilting progress. So I've got lots of stuff that I've sewn and lots of things that I'm trying to complete for the year. I've got 2 finishes, and then at the end we're going to have a Friendsgiving like Q&A and a fun time at the end for Friendsgiving. So let's start with some progress that I've made on a couple of quilts. So the very first one is Harry Potter. So I'm going to talk through how I prepare everything to go to my long armor. And I'll show you this. I showed a lot of progress on this last week, and I'm going to show this to you when it's quilted, but I'm not going to show the whole thing today because I have it already wrapped up. But what I try to do is iron it really nice and flat before it goes to my long arm quilter. This is my binding fabric. And then this is my backing fabric. So this has already been folded really nice for her. And then I took a label that I had from the Sweetwater Label Company. I took just some leftover purple fabric and added to the outside. And then I used a hot hammer ruler to tuck this down. Sorry. And this is what it looks like. I use the ruler though. This one is a little bit different. But basically, this is a little piece of really thick fabric material that you can fold over and then iron on, so you don't have to iron on your fingers. And so that's how I get it nice and straight. And I asked Gina Tell, who's going to quilt this, if she could stitch this down for me, and she said she could. And you can either stitch it down with thread, or you can put stitch witchery on it. But as long as you do it before it's quilted, it will stay in place. And stitch witch, you could even glue it down, but stitch witchery is like a little double-sided fusible that you can put down, and then you iron it and it'll stay in place. And I learned about it from Me and My Sister Design. So it looks like this. It comes in a couple different sizes, but you could just iron that, because with the purple, if I was gonna sew this down, I would use a matching purple probably. So this one is a Harry Potter quilt. It's going to my son Will for Christmas, and he obviously knows about it. I'll show you a little picture of him sitting with it. So that's Will, and he helped me lay all of it out, and he's super excited. He said it's epic. So I thought, well, that's really awesome, because he's very shy. He doesn't talk very much, and he said that it was epic. So I made him say it a couple times, which was really funny. With this quilt, I wanted to talk about thread, and I'm going to do a demo in January about this. But when you're stitching, if I was going to use Color 2000, I think my stitches would show through here. But I use this gray, and if you just pull, you shouldn't be able to see with the naked eye the thread, and I can't see it. So your stitches should be tight enough to where your thread doesn't show, but your color should be dark enough to not show and light enough to not show. And then Katie is asking what color Gina Tell will use when she quilts it. So Gina knows exactly kind of my preferences. So one thing about quilting that I do that is different than other people, there's a couple things that I do. So she'll usually text or email me some pantographs to pick from. With this quilt, I don't have any idea of a pantograph, because circles would be a little bit feminine. Florals obviously wouldn't work with Harry Potter. I'm not sure, maybe a geometric print of some type, maybe something that's hexagons. This does have a lot of sharp points. So because it has a lot of sharp points, she might want something circular. I like my quilts to have a really tight pantograph, so that I like it to just be very stiff, which sounds funny, but it's just the way that I like it. And she will have to make it slightly bigger because I put Shannon on the back. And the Shannon on the back is 90-inch wide. So on a quilt like this that is so big, I don't want to do a piece backing. I'll do piece backings on stuff that's like a lap, maybe a twin, but this is way bigger than a twin. It's supposed to be a twin, but this is way, way bigger than his bed. Now we'll make it fit, but it is huge. So after I spent I started this in 2018, so that's 3 years. So because of that, I don't have time to do the backing. I'm doing good to get this done. So I always, when I have a big quilt, I'll buy a wide fabric, either 108-inch wide cotton or a wide Shannon, and the Shannon comes in 90 inches wide. So this one is silver, and I didn't want the binding on this one to stick out, if that makes sense. So I just wanted the binding to blend in, because I could have put a black or a blue, but I thought, the binding really doesn't need to stand out on this one. And so this is going to go to Gina today. And then Sharon is saying to do a thunderbolt, like the scar on Harry's forehead. So I guess that's the thunderbolt. Yeah, see, I've never seen any of this. I have no idea. That's a good idea. And then Benita is reminding us that I was on Sherry and Chelsea's podcast. So definitely check that out. It's available on YouTube and on different podcast platforms. And speaking of Sherry and Chelsea, I worked a lot on the Sherry McConnell A Quilting Life Block of the Month from 2021 this weekend. So I'm going to pop up the image of kind of what I got done. So I wasn't really planning to show this in the live stream, so the photo's not that great. But what I decided to do was use a setting from the Spelling Bee book. And I'll find it. It is the picture day setting. So if you go back to the picture, you'll see that I'm doing three rows, 3x4 basically. So if you look at this picture, it's 4x5. So I just figured out the conversions, and then if you go back to that photo, sorry, I did different sashing posts. So I made sure every color in there was only used once. I tried to disperse the colors out, and then I did get the piece backing done. I'm waiting on block 12 to be released by Sherry. And then when that's released, I'll finish it and send it to Gina. I'm hoping this one will be one of my very last finishes for this year. So if you don't know about this block of the month, this is free on Sherry McConnell's blog, which is aquiltinglife.com, and it stays there forever. There's 12 blocks in both 6 and 12 inches, and I'm going to show you my backing. And this is how I sent it to Gina, really nice and folded, so I'll have to refold it. So okay, so it kind of goes the other way. Okay, let's turn it. Okay. So what I did with this backing is I loved this print from the Flea Market collection, and I never used it in the front. Now, anytime you see a fabric like this, it's great, because if you take a 2.5-inch square ruler that I've got right here, you can kind of place it and try to get a 2.5-inch square out of it. Now, obviously, you might have to put corner squares on it, but there's a way to kind of use these as fabrics in the front for smaller pieces. But I loved this print, and I wasn't able to use it in the front. So what I did is I had 4 leftover flying geese from one of the blocks. And on the panel, there's another panel that's like an applique panel. There were some blocks, they weren't quite 6 inches, so I trimmed it slightly down, added a tiny border to get it to be 6.5. And when I did that, I just added like 1.5 inches all the way around. Then I put a 6.5 Creative Grids ruler. And I just put this little circle right here, right in the middle of the brown dot, which is the center, trimmed it down, and then I added all the rest. I did want the star to be offset by some background fabric so that it would stand out from this print. And I just added a piece here and to the side and a piece down here. And then right here you'll see that I took another Sweetwater label. Now I'm getting low on my labels. And because I'm getting low on my labels, I don't have as much that matches, but I thought this matched pretty good and it wasn't big enough, so I just added to the outside. Now with this one, I used color 2000 AURIFIL, and I want to show you on this one, when you take your quilt and you go like this, you should not see your stitches. So your stitches should be tight enough. You don't see my stitches at all because my stitch length is super tight and I've used the right color. And a lot of times I see quilts and you can see the thread, and that just drives me nuts. But I mean, obviously you're the boss of your own quilt. Do whatever you want to do, but for me, that drives me crazy. I also don't use a white AURIFIL because that will pop out here. Like, you should be able to not see right there. You can see the stitches. You should not be able to see the thread ever. And I do use a cone when I'm using color 2000. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. And then I'll show you from the front camera just so you can see how big it is, and then you can kind of see the seams. And you'll notice right here, my seam goes here and here. So you can see how the design is broken up. But there was no way to make it line up perfectly, but I think it'll look totally fine. And so when I send this to Gina, I do fold this really nice. I don't want my long arm quilter, when she gets a quilt, to be wadded up or not ironed, so I do try to deliver this to be really nice. And this one, I'll tell you one thing that I did that's totally not right, but I did it anyway, is I'm low on time. Let's just be real. Like, I got a lot of stuff going on. My daughter's trying out for a drill team. Now Kevin has the boys in 2 basketball teams. They just finished 2 others, and now he enrolled them in 2 more. I'm like, okay, I can't keep up. So I'm really low on time. So I starched all of this, and this is not starched. So because of that, if I wash it, which probably will never happen, it will shrink differently. So I should have starched this, but I just don't have time. And then Kathy is asking if when I send my quilts, do I sandwich the top and the backing? No, I just send it just like you see it. So the quilt folded up, the binding folded up, and the quilt top folded up. And one thing that I also do is I usually have the label already in. I usually don't ask Gina to put that in. I just am so low on time that I'm just trying to get through, just get stuff actually done, because sometimes I just have to give up. You know, I have to give up my perfection sometimes because of my time. Now on my stitch length, I use a really tight stitch length. I use like a 1.5, and that's all great and good until you have to rip stuff out. And I'm going to show you about 6 huge seams that I had to rip out that took me an hour and a half. So it's great for when it's finished, but if you make a mistake, it stinks to high. It just stinks. Let's just say that. And then I want to say thank you to Trin and Harold, who gave us a super chat last week. And then this, what I'll do is I will wait and hold this and send it to Gina once I have the quilt top done. Now I do have everything ready to go for that 12th block, and I am adding my border's length of fabric, and I did already cut that out. Now this next quilt, oh my gosh, don't make me laugh. Okay, this next quilt, this is a pattern called Dinosaur. Elizabeth Hartman is both the pattern designer and the fabric designer. And I hadn't worked on this in about 6 months. And last week we had a listener ask if this was beginner friendly. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, after this weekend, it's definitely not beginner friendly, and it's definitely not even intermediate. If you're not advanced, don't even try, because I was having a difficult time. So I had this one done, and I showed that to you last week, but I needed to do these blocks. So I did all of them, and then I sewed them together because I wasn't paying attention and it needed a sashing. So I had to unpick all of this. Let me show you my seams and how tiny they are. Those are my seams. Like you can see it there kind of if we zoom in, kind of on the darker. These are tiny seams. It took an hour and a half to pull the seams out. And I was so lucky that day because Emma had dance Sunday and she had a friend take her and pick her up. And so this would not have got done if her friend hadn't stepped in and taken, and I didn't even ask because I don't ever ask anybody to, I'm kind of horrible like that. I don't ever ask anybody to ever help me with my kids. I just do whatever. But her friend, I guess it was like some kind of optional class and she wasn't even really sure what she was going to go to. So I think she just wanted to wing it. So I'll show you all these blocks. And then from here, you add a piece here and a piece here, and I'm going to do that tonight actually because 2020 has a great episode. So if you need to watch something tonight, I'm telling you, Diane Sawyer 2020 tonight. I'm going to be ready to watch it. I'm so excited. I always know all the stuff that's coming on, and I plan my life around my TV shows. But from here, there's a sashing here and here. I didn't add it because I had to starch my fabric, so I starched it and it's drying. And then there's another block that goes up here and another block that goes down here. So I have 12 more blocks. One thing that I have really enjoyed about this one is, oh, and I have a picture to show you. I'm gonna send a photo real quick and show you how I laid this out, a before and after photo. But with this one, what I've really loved is the instructions are full color, so it makes it easy to see. Hold on, I'm texting this so that they can pull this picture up. And it's all labeled by letter. And so because it's labeled that way, it's really easy to cut your pieces, lay them out, and know exactly where you're at. So the pattern is great, but on this one, just make sure you're not in a hurry because that's what happens when you get in a hurry. And I have a lot of like threads left, and that's because this fabric solids tend to fray or shed more than other fabrics. And I have never used Essex before in Manchester, and this is Essex, and I'll show you one of them. These both are Essex, and I haven't had any problem using them. They've been totally fine. This is Manchester, so this one's a little bit lighter and not as stiff as this one, but I haven't had any problem doing it, so that's exciting. Okay, and then so you can see she has all of this by color, and what I have really enjoyed is that after I finish, I can kind of build my quilt so I don't have to wait until the very end. Because if you wait until the very end, then it becomes kind of, I guess you can't see it as much as you go, and it just makes it easier at the end to already be done. Now with this one, I do think I'm going to make a wider outer border. And then when I mail these off, okay, so this is how I start. So I have one of my kids, whoever's available, they have to pull all my alphabets. So you can see I go all the way from A to Z, and then I have AA to GG. But I didn't have my expansion pack, so I just did A to G again. And this one took me 2 full days to make the blocks, but that is how I stay organized when I'm sewing. So I also plan on this one, I only do this quilt when I know I can start it and finish it within a couple of days so that stuff is not sitting around. Now we did get a question about when you take your quilt to a long arm quilter. So when we give our quilt to Gina, we give it to her in a plastic bag. But if we're gonna mail it, we will put it kind of in a really thick plastic bag, like a garbage bag. And then we just mail it in a box. I probably wouldn't mail it in a padded envelope, because on a padded envelope, they run those things through those machines and it might get black on it. So I usually do, ship it in a box. And then 2020 tonight is going to be Diane Sawyer, and it is going to be about the Turpin family. So now I can move, do I bury my threads? I don't know what that means, but I don't think so. I just clip them at the end. So like here, there's a little tail left over. So sometimes they're still there, sometimes they're not, but I don't bury them. Karen said she made the Dinosaur Quilt and used grunge. Loved it. I also used a 1.5 stitch length, and you're correct. Not a fun time with Jack. Yeah, I also, another thing I did wrong is so when I make a quilt, no matter what it is, but especially something like this is so hard. I started with whatever the first one was, and I think the first one in the book is this one. So I make one, I cut all the fabrics at the same time, like I just showed you, but then I make one block and then I try to replicate it. Well, this is 6.5 by 7. Well, when I was sewing late at night, I sewed them the wrong way. But this is a huge piece of fabric, and the kit is not one of the kits that has a ton of fabric. So I actually had to buy more fabric. But what I did is on the 5 that I messed up, I did not throw out the piece. I kept it because I can still cut little pieces from within. But I did have to buy 5 fabrics because I didn't think that my kit was gonna have enough, and so I did mess that up. So even though, I just think this weekend I was just too busy and I probably shouldn't have tried to work on this quilt so much, but my son's gonna love it. Do I pay my children for their jobs? Yeah, they get this thing called Robux or something, and it's like for games or something. So yeah, they get a certain amount, and they get a certain amount for the different things, and it depends how busy they are, how much I pay them. Kevin says I pay them too much. Okay, so from the front camera, we'll show this, and then I'll talk about it in a little bit. So this is the charity quilt from 2020. Wait, are we in 2021? 2021. I don't even know what year we're in. And then the back, and then I'll show, I got this back this morning from Gina. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the quilting on the front and the back. So like I said, I like my pantographs to be very small. Most people don't like this, but I like my pantographs very small, and I like a thread that does not pop out here. So I would never let her use a navy thread because that navy would pop here. So this is kind of a variegated, you can't tell it's variegated, but I'm pretty sure it's variegated, but it blends. Oh, Gina says you would normally bury your threads when you do free motion quilting since there are starts and stops. So yeah, so I don't have to do that because Gina does all my quilting. Do you think I will ever make alphabets with clips? We've tried. We haven't come up with something yet that is like a good enough product, but yes, that's been on our radar. And so this is the front. So I sewed this with you guys this year on videos, and then got it all assembled. One thing that I did different than the pattern is these sashing strips right here. We write the pattern so that they're with the fabric, so you don't have to buy a lot of fabric. But I don't like seeing a seam. So all of my sashings and my borders are all length of fabric. And then on the back, I also don't want my thread to show. So she used a different, I don't know, Gina, did you use the same or different thread? I'm not sure if she used the same or different, but I used Gina because she never messes up my thread. And I gotta have somebody who's not gonna mess up the thread. And then here, I just used a label that had some green in it, and it says made with love, and then I just sewed it into the part of the backing. So that's my first finish for the week, and I'm excited to get this one back. And then this is my next one, and I'll talk about it in a little bit. So this is the top. And the bottom. So on this one, she used a pantograph that's, it's like little circles. So, and I want to show my backing. So I had a really lovely customer send me a bunch of labels. So I used one of her labels, and I added just some leftover fabric from the front, put it on the back. It's kind of in that bottom right corner, and just stitched it down with white AURIFIL thread. Now when I piece and stitch, I'm going to talk now about my, well, first I'm going to first talk about this fabric, this quilt, and what this is, because some of you guys might not know. So this is Spring Brook Blossoms, and the fabric collection is Spring Brook, and the designer is Corey Yoder. I'll turn it upside down. And this was a free sew along. And so there's 6 different original blocks in here, and I made it exactly like she did. The only thing that I did slightly different is I think I changed a couple of colors, but it was my changes were very minimal. So now I'm going to show you my thread that I use and talk a little bit about thread. And I'm going to talk more about this. We've been getting a lot of questions from you guys about thread, so I thought I would talk about it. So when I sew my quilt tops, I use AURIFIL, and I love AURIFIL because it's thinner, but it's strong, and I've never had a quilt fall apart. I would say use whatever's in your budget. I do try to always use 100% cotton when I'm piecing. I don't use polyester thread. I think it's too thick. Now, I don't know much about the thread that you use when you're long arming, but Gina could answer those. I think she uses a 40 weight, which is a little bit thinner, I think. But I use these 2 colors. So I have had people ask me over and over, what are your 5 colors of AURIFIL? And there's not, there's 2. So when I'm piecing, when you saw all the quilts today, the Spring Brook Blossoms and the Sherry McConnell quilt, both of those I use color 2000. And anytime I'm using color 2000, I use the cone. So I don't buy these, I buy this. The 2 quilts I made for my son and the Serendipity Quilt, so the Dinosaur Quilt, the Serendipity Quilt, and the Harry Potter, I used this thread. This is 2600, but I don't use that thread as much, so I don't buy a cone. I buy this size. So that's just one thing to think about is I did a couple years ago record how long it took, and this took me 9 months to use, which for the amount of quilts that I pop out of here, that's really lasts a long time. So with color 2000, I buy cones, and with color 2600, I use spools. So that's how, that's kind of because space and money. I don't want to have a big spool of this because where am I going to put it? So that is a little bit about the weight of thread question, but I use 50 weight. the next thing we're going to talk about is what's new. So we're going to pop up some new things on the screen. Yeah, so we're going to show the apple cider quilt. And Amy Friend is doing an online course. It starts in January, and she had us put together some quilt kits. So if you go to Amy Friend's website, she's going to have a sew along, and she designed this to look like embroidery stitches, and I think it's really cute. It's very modern. A lot of you guys are looking for modern things. So we have quilt kits, and then from there, you get the pattern from her. So that's one of our new things. Some other new things that just came in yesterday. We got them late, so I do apologize. Riley Blake made a mistake on our shipping. So the chicken salad calendar has finally come in. So this goes along with Lori Holt's next fabric collection that's going to ship in December. And okay, I'm going to put it sideways so you can see the whole thing. And she has all of these chickens named, and I'm not joking. And this like Henrietta, and this is based on her chicken salad quilt. So these are little motifs taken from her applique section of her quilt. I'm going to be sewing it, but I'm going to be doing pieced blocks. And she is going to pick all the fabrics. So if you are not an appliquer, you can sew along with me. And we'll just follow her blog for what to sew. This is really cute. And this is really thick paper, so it's really cute. And then when you're done, you could just cut this and keep all these. And put these, you could use these as like dividers or something, because it's really nice thick paper. And then this is a little bit about Lori, and then this is an all over date, so you could flip to it if you need. And here's the back. And it's just a summary of the front. Now these, I'm taking these home today because, oh my gosh, she made these for me, they're pink. So these are the 3.0 glasses. This is the ones that I wanted her to make for me. So these are for me. So I'm excited. I'm gonna take these home. I can throw this away. I'm so excited. And then these are new charms. So she's got a teapot, a strawberry, and a rooster. Now I will tell you, all of her charms, we buy a ton of them, but they always sell out. So I can guarantee this one and this one are gonna sell out first. I always guess, and I usually guess right. Will I be making a quilt from Lucian Fabrics? We haven't seen much Lucian out lately that we have bought. We haven't even seen any of that new lately at all. And we do have a note that this would make a cute cross stitch, and it will. So that's a confirmation that it will. I just won't give you a date. And then there's some washi tape, and I use her washi tape as a line to follow on my sewing machine. And then this is the heat resistant batting that she came out with, and she's gonna have some panels in the future that you can make a casserole with, bowls with, but she's also gonna do a tutorial that she shows you how to use it. So someone is asking if the 3.0 glasses are for applique. They're just magnifying glasses. So just if you're a cross stitcher and an appliquer, and some people use them. Some people use them when they put their binding on their quilt. So they're just a fun way to see up close. The piece chicken salad quilt will be of block designs from two of her books, Farm Girl Vintage and Farm Girl Vintage 2, and they will be kitchen sewing related. And the charms, you can put these on like your keychain, or a lot of people put them on their project bags, or like if you have a binding bag that you have, like it's like a little binding thing that we did as a tutorial, and you can put it on there. They're just for decoration. And then Patricia says she loves the Dinosaur Quilt, and a huge shout out for all of the free patterns. They're great stash busters. Thank you. Yes, and I did want to mention that We did do a members only live stream on this week, Tuesday, so you might want to check that out if you're not a member. Become a member, and I went through about 20 to 30 of our free patterns and talked about how you can print those patterns, how you can put those in a binder, how you can make cute dividers using Lori's folders, and how you can just have that in your house already printed, how you can pick fabric, how to put big scale with large scale. So we definitely want you to check that out if you're not a member. Just click to become a member if you want to pay for that. If you don't want to pay for that, that's totally fine. We just do something exclusive for our members once a month as a thank you for their support. Sandy is asking, on the pieced version of the chicken salad, do you need extra fabric? No. And will we be able to see a design of the piece prior to purchasing the kit? No. It's a surprise. Did Jolly Boxes ship? No. And then the next question is, what are the Creative Grids rulers I use the most? So I use the 2.5 to 6.5 inch square rulers the most. After that, I use the 6.5 by 24.5, and that's what I have to have. If I don't have those, I can't make a quilt. Now from there, I've been using the 2.5 by 12.5 and the 3.5 by 12.5. I have a ton of rulers, so much so that they almost interrupt my flow because I've got so many rulers all over the place. But I can make any kind of quilt with that 6.5 by 24.5 and the 2.5 to 6.5 inch square Creative rulers. The 4.0 readers will be available. I don't know the exact date. Just look at the coming soon date. And then let's see what else. We have some other quilts to show you. So I'm going to stand up to show you those. So this is the front, and I'll turn it so you can see the side. This is Puddin' Pie by Fig Tree Favorites, and it is a Jolly Bar pattern. So the pattern can only be found in the kit or the Jolly Bar. So that's one of our first kits, and I have one other kit to show you. I'm going to show you the quilting on this one though up close. Now this one is not my quilt. So I didn't make this one. So you can see how big this pantograph is. And most people love it this way. So most quilts that you send to your long arm quilter are going to be this scale or bigger. I pay extra to have that smaller quilting. So just keep that in mind. And it does have white thread because I don't ever want the quilts we show to have a thread that shows up dark here. Okay, now I'll show it on the table, and then I'll talk about it. I try not to talk when I'm holding it so that I don't. Now, I didn't make this one either, but I love the quilting on this one. So this is bigger than I would pick, but it looks lovely. And another thing I wanted to point out is, I'm not sure who made this one, but they picked a thinner batting. So I can tell this is thinner batting. So they probably picked 100% cotton. So just consider that also when you're looking at quilting. Do you want a thick or thin batting? And this one is called Fascinating Facets. The fabric collection is Tarrytown by Kimberly Kite for Ruby Star Society, and Crystal designed it. So for all of you guys who want modern, here is your modern. And then, so for our announcements, before we have a lot of Friendsgiving, our announcements are we're not going to have any live streams next week. And we will be having Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so you'll want to be on our newsletter list. So definitely subscribe to the Fat Quarter Shop newsletter. But we also have a cross-stitch newsletter, and you can find both of those on our website. We would love for you to sign up for both. Our giveaway winners from last week that won a Tula Pink Fat Quarter bundle are Marcia Turner, Amber Solomon, and Val Martinez West. So we'll contact you on YouTube, and then I'm going to answer the last couple of questions, and then we're going to have a Friendsgiving. Val said she spent yesterday organizing, printing, and putting a binder of all the patterns. I love having them in one place, divided with Lori's file folders. Thank you. Great video. Thank you. I can't wait to take that home. Kathy says, thank you, FQS, the generosity of free quilt patterns. I made 2 of them already. Yes. And if you're ever looking, you are on a Saturday, you have some extra time and you want to sew, we have a ton of free patterns that you can just download and print right there. Where can I order the washi tape? So the washi tape is on our What's New page, but washi just spelled W-A-S-H-I, and that will show up. When will the quilts for the charity quilt ship? They will ship in January. How about magnetic alphabetes? I don't know about that because some people don't like magnets near their machines. So now we're going to do a thankful trivia, and some questions are going to pop up and I'm going to have to answer them. And just an FYI, I haven't seen any of this before, so I have no idea what's about to pop up. So let's see what the first one is. What does the average turkey weigh? Okay, so you guys start posting. Okay, the only thing I know about turkey is that on the radio they said that the prices went up 25%. So let's see, there's a bunch of people. Okay, I'm gonna go with 35 pounds. So let's see what it is. Oh, okay, that's 15 pounds. Well, if you have a lot of people over, that's like how many pounds? I guess that sounds about right. 15 people would eat about I mean, how much do you eat each? A pound each? I don't know. 15 pounds with all the bones, that seems like not very much. Okay, what's the next question? Okay, let's see. What is the day after Thanksgiving called? Okay, let me think. The day after Thanksgiving. Sleepy time? I don't know. Black Friday. Oh, Black Friday. Oh my God. Sorry, we are going to have a Black Friday sale. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh my goodness. That was the easy one I should have got. Okay, I got 2 wrong. Okay, what's the next one? What is the second most consumed food on Thanksgiving? Okay, I'm going to go with stuffing. Mashed potatoes. Ew. Mashed potatoes? Okay, so y'all, just so y'all know, this is what Kevin eats on Thanksgiving. Turkey and mashed potatoes. That's it. Gravy, if the gravy's right, and that's it. Like, he doesn't eat any, oh, and bread. That's it. He won't eat anything else. So, yeah. Okay, what's the next question? Let's see. What is the most consumed pie on Thanksgiving? Okay, I'm going to say pumpkin pie, but I think pumpkin pie is disgusting. So let's see what the answer is. Yeah. Okay, I got 1. Okay, are there more questions? Is there one more? Okay, one more question. Calories consumed by the average person on Thanksgiving. Okay, I'm going to go with 3,000 calories. Oh my God, 4,500. I hope that I'm not eating 4,500 calories on Thanksgiving. That's a lot. Oh my goodness, that was so fun. Okay, so we're going to have a little chat. Thanksgiving is next Thursday, and we're just going to talk about what we're thankful for. I would say that I'm most thankful that all my kids are healthy and that, you know, I don't have any health issues, because I do feel like other issues I can deal with, but like if, you know, you can't really deal with health issues. So I'm very thankful, and I'm thankful that I have 4 kids. I would have never thought, like I never planned to have 4 kids. I used to tell my mom though all the time, have more babies, have more babies. And so now she tells me, oh, there's all the babies you wanted. And then let's chat about Thanksgiving traditions. Do you cook or do you go out to eat? So y'all comment and let me know. I bet most of y'all cook. I'm going to talk about what I did as a kid and then kind of what I do now. So when I was a kid, my mom hates turkey. She does not like turkey. So, and she doesn't cook. So what she does cook, she cooks these enchiladas, and I can't stand them. I hope she's not watching. I think she already knows those. So my brother loved these enchiladas. So she would put chili, like straight chili, not like not a recipe for tacos, chili. And she would put them in, she would put, no, not corn, flour tortillas. She would put the chili in there, and then she would just put a bunch of cheese on it and cook it. That's what we would have at Thanksgiving on like Thanksgiving Day. But then we would have like a big Thanksgiving with my dad's side of the family, either the Saturday or Sunday before or after Thanksgiving, depending on, she had 5 sons. So depending on all of her sons' schedules. So we always had like 2 things. And then my other side, I'm not really sure why we didn't ever do Thanksgiving with her. I have no idea why. I was trying to think of it and I couldn't figure it out. And now what we do is we go to a restaurant. So we pick a different restaurant every year. Now this weekend, I'm going to see Kevin's parents and his sister, and we're going to go to dinner Sunday for Thanksgiving. I don't know what we're doing. Kevin hasn't decided. So I don't know what we're doing Sunday, but we're doing something together. I just don't know what it is. And then Thursday, we'll just go eat at a restaurant. So let's see what everyone says. So Lori's cooking for everyone. Oh my gosh. I'm going to come to your house one day for Thanksgiving. I just think for Thanksgiving, like if I cooked, I would be a hot mess. And and then I'm starting a new tradition this year with my kids. I hope they're not watching. Well, they're at school. They shouldn't be watching. So I bought, and I'm kind of upset. So I bought everybody 2.5 weeks ago. I bought everybody an advent calendar, including me. Guess how many have arrived? 2. Kevin's arrived and Emma's arrived right away. Mine hasn't arrived. Will's shipped, and I don't know where it is because it shipped like 2 weeks ago. And then the other 2 never came, so I just bought 2 different ones as a backup. So I hope that they arrive by Thursday because I was going to give them each an advent calendar for Thanksgiving and have them have it in their room, and then they can get their own little prize each day because my mom used to give me and my brother like a little chocolate advent calendar, and you'd get the little chocolate in the morning before you went to school. So let's see, Kevin's, I bought C's candy, which I wasn't really sure what to get for him because he's like one of those people that doesn't want anything, so I don't even know if he'll like it. So I got him C's candy. I got Emma like some kind of like, not makeup, like Body Works or something like that. It's a store in the mall. I got me a little thing of 25 stockings, and then I'm gonna clip them on a little thing in my room if it arrives. I got Will of Harry Potter, and then Peyton and Christopher love the NBA. They don't like the NFL, they just like the NBA. Well, NBA doesn't make advent calendars that I could find, so I bought them something from Cheryl's Cookies or something like that. So we'll see, but that's kind of a new tradition I'm starting this year. And then at dinner, we'll talk about like what are we thankful for, and then we try to just have like family time, I guess. JP says she's thankful for a hobby that lets me be creative. Oh, yes, that's a great one. Brenda says this year for the first time they're eating out. So, oh, and then another thing I do that I've done for, God, I'm old, since I got out of high school, so 20 years. I have a group of friends from high school, and I'm just like the add-on. So it's a bunch of friends that were on the football team together, and they all, after high school, they all stayed best friends. There's like 5 of them. And they would just, back in the day when we were broke, they would go to like Popeyes or whatever. They joke about Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever, and they would always do something the day before Thanksgiving. Well, then we all got older and mature, and then anyway, I got added, another friend of ours, Becky, got added, all the wives, and Kevin comes. So we'll go to a restaurant the night before. And the great thing is my kids are old enough where they don't need a babysitter. So maybe I'll have Emma babysit them and pay her to make them not fight physically. But that's something that I have done for 20 years. And Kevin goes most years, unless there's been years where he can't go just because of work and the Black Friday and all the stuff he has to do. So he usually goes, and we usually have a great time. I will admit, my friends get really loud. And sometimes Kevin is like, they have got to shut up. They're so embarrassing. And I'm like, oh my God, because they're just crazy. But we have so much fun, and we just like talk about like we're all married, we all have kids. Some of us are divorced. I mean, I'm not, but some of us, they go through divorces, and then you got a new wife, and then there's been a couple times where one of my really good friends from high school, he'll like show up, and I'm like, the joke is like, who is he gonna show up with? But the joke isn't just like with us, it's with him too. Like we just talk about it in the open. But it's fun to stay in touch with, and that's probably like the only dinner I do with friends all year. So I'm really bad about keeping up, but that's going to be fun. I bought advent calendars for everyone as well. I made the grandkids theirs mostly from the dollar store. Oh my gosh, my kids would love that. They just built a, what is it, 5 and below? 5 and under? Oh, 5 below. So they just opened one by us. And so the joke in our family is don't tell Christopher because he'll want to go there all the time. So nobody has told him and he hasn't figured it out. We still drive home for Dad's turkey. He mentioned that Mom's was a bit dry their first Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh. Kevin's mom, years ago, we used to all go to Kevin's mom's house. And like his sister that lives in Houston would come. And she would take all day and make everything, and then his sister would help. I don't cook, so I don't really know how to do any of that stuff. So I always hated it because I didn't ever really know where to go or what to do, or I just felt so uncomfortable. But her food is amazing. Like, nobody will make food the way that his mom, like, Kevin will never like another meal besides his mom's. But a few years ago, she just said, I can't do this anymore. I'm just too old. I don't enjoy it. So we've gone more... like the easier route. It's just too much for her. So we did used to do the whole thing. It just became too much. Let's see. Catherine says we cook at home. Typically every family has assignments and we all bring them to the house that's hosting. It's the best. That's awesome. I think Lori told me that she sometimes does that. And when my grandmother would cook when we were little, she did all of it. Like, not one person helped her. She didn't want anybody, and she had a tiny house. Like, when I drive by that house now and I see it, I'm like, how in the world did her 5 sons live in that house? And then all her kids had kids, and I mean, I don't know how we all fit in the house. So when I was in college, we used to have Thanksgiving in the garage because we couldn't fit anymore. Like, everyone, she had great grandkids at that point, so everybody would come, and there was a Thanksgiving where my brother and my uncle got into a fist fight and we had to leave. That was interesting. That was real interesting. And it was never discussed again. It just was like one of those, you know how like families are, you just don't discuss it. You just act like it never happened. And I was like really little. And my mom was like, just don't ask questions. Just shut your mouth. Let's go. And nobody ever talked about it again. My mom has never spoken about it. My brother, my uncle, everybody acted like it didn't happen. But yeah, they had a fist fight over a basketball game. One year I made a Thanksgiving dinner spreadsheet to keep track of everything. Oh, I could do that. I could do that. I do have to work. You also have to consider, I have to work all weekend. So I'll be here. Well, Kevin, starting at 3 o'clock Thursday, he just works. And so he will work from that time until probably the next Wednesday straight. I mean, he'll sleep a little bit, but he doesn't sleep much. Because he works on the website, and I will be here filling orders Friday, Saturday, and I'll probably come Sunday too. My kids won't come because that'd just be chaos, but I'm hoping when they're a little bit older I can bring them to work. The first cookie I cooked caught on fire in the oven. Oh my gosh. My mom doesn't really, like, she thinks she cooks, but she really doesn't. And one of the funniest things was, it wasn't Thanksgiving, but my dad was, I think it was like his 60th birthday party. She had this whole party, and she ordered pizza, and she put it in her oven to heat up, but she put it in the oven with the box, and it caught on fire. So, yeah. I cook a huge meal and have the parade on in the background. Yes, my kids watch the parade. Yes, they do watch the parade. And we always joke, like, because... we always joke because Kevin and I are like, we just sit there and we're like, we're so old. We don't know who the people are. And my kids are like, oh, that's Drake, or that's, I mean, whatever, Taylor Swift. I don't know who these people are. Do I ever gift any of my quilts as Christmas gifts? So this year I'm giving one to my sister-in-law. I don't usually. Oh, my kids are both getting one. 2 of my kids are getting one. My sister-in-law's getting one. My mother-in-law does not care anything about quilts. Like, she's like a very much a minimalist. My mom already has quilts. My brother already has quilts. I feel like everybody already has a quilt. But if somebody like specifically said, okay, I want a quilt in these colors, I would of course do it. I'm thankful for my children, for the love of my friends and family. Yes. I host and cook 18 people. Oh my gosh. I would probably have a heart attack if 18 people were in my house. I go to Cracker Barrel. Oh my God, that sounds so good. And carry out our dinners and do a little shopping in the gift shop. Is it open on Thanksgiving? That's the place to go. Okay, so let's see. Now we can talk about, do you put your Christmas tree up before or after Thanksgiving? So I convinced Kevin that we're going to decorate tonight. But every decoration is in our storage bin. So I was like, you got to leave work, because he works a lot. And I'm like, you got to leave work to get the stuff. So I think we'll be decorating for Christmas at midnight, because his parents are coming tomorrow. And I don't want to decorate while they're there, because they'll feel like they need help, and like they don't need to help, and it's too much. And I get very I want things like a certain way, and I don't want to have to I just want to boss my kids around, tell them what to do, and them do it, and us be done. But I don't want to do that in front of my in-laws, which I love them, but I just want stuff done. And so I get a little bossy when we organize. So I did, when I dropped my kids off for school today, I was like, guess what we're doing tonight? We're decorating for Christmas. And they were like, oh. Both of them were both of the kids I dropped off were like, oh, that sounds horrible. And then tomorrow in Austin, they have a event. It's called the Christmas Bazaar or something like that. So I'm going to go to that. I usually go to that every year. And I usually go to that because I like to get unique gifts there. So Kevin likes custom pins that are made out of I don't know, he uses some fancy pins. I know what they are, but he likes those. So I usually get him one, and I'll try to get my mom, usually I'll get her a piece of jewelry there, or anyway, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. But I'm hoping by tomorrow at this time, everything's put up, and I'm so excited. I do 2 trees. They're both artificial. So we have one tree that is my tree. It's in our bedroom, and it's just called the mom tree, and it's whatever I want. The other tree is whatever everybody else wants. So every ornament my kids have ever made, anything they like. It doesn't have to match. To me, it looks horrible, but it's their tree. So we had to do that a couple years ago, because I wanted a tree that looked a certain way, and then Kevin wanted a tree that looked a certain way. And so I said, fine. I got in the car. I got mad. I got in the car, drove to Home Depot, and bought a tree. I think Home Depot does have the best artificial trees. One of my friends told me Walmart has the best trees, but I don't ever really go anywhere. So for me, I don't even know what's out there. Lori decorates her tree after Thanksgiving. And I do always have artificial trees because I have severe allergies, no joke. And so I've tried it when I was really little. I'll tell this fun story. So when I was really little, I was really spoiled, and my dad would do whatever I wanted, because that's just how it was. And my mom, it drove my mom nuts. Oh my God, I kind of hope she's watching. So one year he said, let's go get a real tree. And we had this friend who had acreage in the country, because we lived in the country actually, and his name was Ken. Ended up later, I met his granddaughter, and she's a quilter. But anyway, long story short, we went to his land, and I was like, I want that tree. And my dad was like, it's too big. I was like, get that tree. I want that tree. So we brought that tree home. My mom was so mad because it was huge. It tipped over on the, anyway, she was so mad because everyone in the house got sick, including her, because we're all allergic. And then when Kevin and I got married, Kevin was like, no, we really have to have a real tree. And I was like, okay. So we did it one year, and I was so sick all year. So he was like, yeah, we're not doing that again. So his parents have always done a real tree, and I've always done a fake tree. So that's kind of what and I think with our kids, they all have one of them doesn't, but 3 of them have bad allergies, and 1 of them has asthma. So I don't think there's any way we could do that. Oh my gosh. She says you and Kevin should let the kids decorate and go out to dinner. Oh, they would have a fist fight. I am not kidding. They would have a fist fight. Are you doing an aqua tree? No. Do those exist? I don't know. If they do, maybe I would buy one. The problem is I don't go to any stores. I don't go anywhere, guys. All I do is come to work and take my kids to sports and dance. And that's it. I haven't been in a Target in I don't know how long. I don't go to any stores, so I don't really know what's out there. That's why I'm going to that one little thing. And I did buy a bunch of Christmas gifts already. First time ever to be this ahead. Kevin is very hard to buy for, so I found some cute stuff on Etsy. And then I bought my niece and nephew on one side of the family. I got all their gifts done. And then my other niece and nephew I'm going to see this weekend so I can get theirs done. And then I found something for Kevin's mom, but I had to ask him if he thought she would like it. He said yes. So I'm going to get that this weekend. And then my mom, I usually buy her like jewelry. Oh, they put theirs up after Thanksgiving. Day after Thanksgiving. Yeah, so I work on Black Friday. Oh my gosh, I can't believe y'all asked me that question. I couldn't answer it. I had 35 family members over over Thanksgiving, and propane tank linked out. Oven never turned on. Raw turkey was packed up and party was finished at my parents' house. We ate desserts for hours. Oh my gosh. We had a family Zoom Thanksgiving last year. My sister-in-law sent a box to each family filled with plates, silverware, candle, mini pies, and games, and we ate and played together. Very memorable. Yeah, I think we did that last year with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I think it was Thanksgiving. Yeah, my mother-in-law really likes everything to be very like traditional, very like the silverware the right way. Like, she used to get frustrated with me because she'd be like, okay, well, you can set the table. And I'd set the table. She's like, the fork's in the wrong place. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We eat on paper plates in my house. I don't know. So I don't know what he's going to do for Sunday, because his mom did say, I just want to go to dinner. I don't want anything fancy. So I don't know. We're going to, because we have to find a place that has 12, that can serve 12 people. So I'm not sure where we're going to go. Put up my tree yesterday, and I had one more string of lights to put, and all the tree lights went out. Oh, that's frustrating. We always watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Is that a funny movie? I don't know what that is. This is horrible. I'll watch true crime. So basically on Thanksgiving, we'll wake up, we'll watch. I'm going to make cinnamon. Okay, so this is a great thing you can do. This, because I don't cook, but I can do this. So I have this waffle maker. It's this Belgian waffle maker. And if you get the cinnamon rolls, I don't even like cinnamon rolls. You put the cinnamon rolls in each, there's 4 little things, and you put the cinnamon rolls in there, and then you do it, but you can't do it the whole way. And you just do it half the way, then you pull it out, and then you put the stuff on, and they're little waffle cinnamon rolls. So I'm going to do that Thanksgiving, and then we, what do we do? Then we'll go eat at 1, and then starting at 4, he'll be working. Do I do a Black Friday sale? Yes. Do you guys wrap your own gifts or have a service? I don't know that a service exists. I do, but I went to Home Goods last week. I did go to Home Goods. I went somewhere last week. I've actually been to Home Goods twice in the last 2 weeks, because last time I went to Home Goods, I got this really cute bucket and I wanted some more. And so I went back last week to see if they had more, and they didn't have any more. But I bought some really good priced but cute bags, and then 2 rolls of paper. But I wrap most of my gifts in the bags and then with tissue paper. So I found a bunch at Home Goods, and they were really cute, and they were like $1.99, and they were cute. So I've actually already got one gift. I found some little Astros, not Yetis, but that kind of thing, small ones for Kevin, because he loves the Astros. We had Domino's pizza one year because the oven broke an hour into the turkey cooking. Pizza and mashed potatoes. In the end, it was one of the best we had. Oh my gosh. So Kevin's mom makes these potatoes, but she doesn't call them mashed potatoes. They're like whipped potatoes. I don't exactly know what that is, but they're so good. His mom, there's never a meal that could meet his mom's. Let's see. Valeria Bauer gave us a super chat. Thank you. She says she's my #1 fan, and she asks, how's it going? It's good. I'm a little bit nervous about this weekend just because I got to get so much done before Black Friday, but I am excited to start decorating. I already took some of my stuff home. I just need to get the Christmas trees in the house. Brenda Wall, thank you for your super chat. And then Erin, thank you for your super chat. She says she's my #1 fan. Hi, Mr. Domestic. How are you? So let's see. Okay, and then we have a couple more questions. Would you rather eat an entire, and I didn't make these questions up, guys. Would you rather eat an entire pumpkin pie or a gallon of cranberry sauce? Nothing, none of that. I'm not eating any of that. I think pumpkin pie is disgusting. And I think cranberry sauce is disgusting. So actually, I try to like, I had to at some point make my kids like stop being so picky. But then when we go to Thanksgiving, I'm like, okay, I'll have the meal, but no cranberry sauce. And they're like, oh, but Mom, you said we have to eat the whole thing. I'm like, okay, well, you can take one thing off. But Kevin literally eats turkey. He will not eat stuffing. He will not eat any kind of vegetable. He will not eat anything but, so yeah. And so his mom would just make a huge amount, and she knew he would just eat that. Would you roll up a table runner for a gift? Yeah, that'd be cute. Like roll it up, put it in a bag. So yeah, for me, I'm not eating a pumpkin pie, and I'm definitely not eating cranberry sauce. And then they put down, is it yams or sweet potatoes, and do you add marshmallows? No, I don't eat any of that. I don't even know if a yam is a sweet potato, but that's disgusting. I don't eat any of that. I like pecan pie. I like chocolate, ice cream. I just like pecan. Probably the only pie I like is pecan. Kevin really likes apple pie. I think that's disgusting. And my kids are all about McDonald's lately. So he brings them those apple pies all the time. And I swear they can eat that thing in like 15 seconds. I'm like, I cannot believe it. Oh my gosh, Kathleen says she cannot eat turkey without cranberry sauce. Never, no way. Okay, I can't even, like, if I put that in my mouth, I would freak out. No. Sweet potatoes and no marshmallows. I have never eaten sweet potatoes. I think they're disgusting. My mom loves them. I cannot, no. I like, okay, so what I like for Thanksgiving, let's see, I like turkey, gravy, stuffing, but there's a difference in stuffing, and before I got married, I never knew there was a difference because I always just had whatever my grandmother made me. And his mom's stuffing is totally different, and I was like, there's a difference? I like didn't know, and I was like too embarrassed, and then I finally Googled it and figured out there was a difference. But I like stuffing, and I like green bean casserole. I mean, mashed potatoes, that's all right, I'll eat it. And then I like bread, and then pecan pie maybe, but yeah. So guys, I hope you had fun with our little Friendsgiving. I hope all of you have a wonderful, safe Thanksgiving wherever you go, whatever you do. Just be safe and, enjoy your time with your family. And I will see you back here in 2 weeks. See you then.